Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Wargames Geek. This week I'm painting a medieval halberdier or foot soldier, and this guy is going to be pretty much all metal. He's wearing plate mail armour, a metal helmet, metal all over him pretty much. So whilst there won't be an awful lot of colour, what I will do is I'll be using the dipping technique to try and bring the metal out and to try and give it a good bit of depth. So what I've done here to start with is I've undercoated him in plate mail metal from the Army Painter range. And what I've done here, as I say, it doesn't look much different to what he did before, but I can assure you he has been undercoated with the plate mail metal. What I'm going to do first then is I'm going to come in to do the handle of his halberd. And with this, what I'm doing for this colour is Monster Brown, and I'm just going to do the whole of that handle area there. So as you can see, he is pretty much all metal, but we'll do what we can with him, and I'm sure by the end he'll look pretty decent. So just take your time with this one, because we've undercoated him or primed him in the colour that is going to stay. We would like to try and keep him as sort of clean edges as we possibly can. But I have got a pot of the plate mail metal, so if I do make any mistakes, I can just touch those up afterwards. On the chest here is sort of a sort of flower-shaped piece. Now, when I've looked on Google, that was metal as well, but I'm just concerned about him just being plain silver. So what I've done, I've just added a bit of colour to him, and you know, they're your figures, you paint them however you like. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference to the end result, but just getting a little bit of colour on there. And for this, what I've used is pure red, again from the Army Painter range of paints. So turning the figure around then, it's quite a nice little bit of detail on him here. What I'm using on the handle or the pommel of the sword is dark stone. And again, just try and be as sort of neat as you can. Try not to go over the edges and try not to make any sort of mistakes. But if you do, you'll need a little pot of the plate mail metal, again from the Army Painter range, just to sort of tidy up any sloppy edges or any mistakes that you make. So I've got him upside down just to try and make it easier for myself. And then once we've got the handle painted, I can see there's a couple of little tiny bits there that I'm going to need to get into, which I'll touch up momentarily. And so there we are. So the next stage, once we've done that, is to come in with the leather brown colour, but I'm just going to finish off just touching up that little bit there. So the strap goes around the top of the sword scabbard, and then it's a kind of belt that goes around him off to the right. So again, taking my time there, trying not to make any mistakes. I'd probably be better if I had a slightly smaller brush for that, but I'm happy that it's coming out okay. So just make sure you get all of that, the little dab on there. And then once we've got that, we need to start coming around and to do the actual belt area. I'm just going to come in a bit closer to to sharpen up the focus there. So you can see it there, so sort of two-part thing that goes off round there, and then just above it as well. So let's get that on there, and this little line just above there, just in there. Okay, so that goes all the way around to the side. I'll just turn him around. So we've got some on the side here on his hip, and it kind of disappears underneath his lower hand, which on this model is his left hand, the one at the bottom of the halberd. So it doesn't go all the way around, but well, it does, but you can't actually get to it. So we just get to where the bits we can reach. That's that double strap that I'm talking about. Let's try and get that neatened up, and then turn it around and go as far around as we can there. So that's the belt pretty much done. The next bit to do then is we're going to do the scabbard of the sword. Now for that I'm using weapon bronze, and it's going to take a couple of coats, just a bit of a thinner paint here. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to put the first layer on, Just get him where I want him. Let's get the first layer on, and we'll put a second coat on once the first one obviously is dried enough to take the second coat. So we're going to do down to the bottom of the end of the sword scabbard, and then we'll also have to turn him around and do the bit between his legs that can be seen from the front as well. So turn him around, just focusing on my thumb a little bit more than the actual figure, but let's just bring him in. So there we are. So that's the first coat of the weapon bronze done for the scabbard of the sword. So then we're going to go back over that again, give that a second coat once it's dried, and that should bring out that colour nicely. It's looking pretty decent already, but just to give that a nice hit of that weapon bronze. Now this will dull down a bit once the figure's been dipped in the strong tone quick shade, but you know, just get that colour on there and just gives it something else rather than the sort of metal colour that the figure's going to predominantly be. So just getting in there. This is between the leg. I know you can't see that because my thumb's in the way. Let's bring that forward, but that was just doing the between the legs again. So the beauty of the metal figures, the sort of plate mail and all that sort of thing, is the dip looks amazing once it's on there, and I'll show you that once we get to that stage. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pick out some of the highlights from the helmet that he's wearing. So I'm going to use again weapon bronze, and I'm just going around the edges of the I'm going to go around the edges of the helmet. So I've picked out a slightly smaller or finer brush, and then there's these kind of rivety bits sticking out on the side, so they're going to get some weapon bronze as well. Again, try and take your time here and be as neat as you possibly can. These are sort of things that I usually fluff up and need to go over again, and that's fine if you make a mistake, just they're easy to tidy up. So those are the rivets, which can carry on round. I've made a mistake, as you can see on there, so I'll need to touch that up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come round, just do the rivets on the other side of the helmet. And then there's the ridge on the top, and then there's the, just going to come in there, and then there's a sort of edge of the helmet as well. So if I come in as close as I can, just to keep it in focus. So that's those there. And I've zoomed on a little bit, but you can see now that I've done the sort of edge rim of the helmet, and I've done that sort of ridge going over the top as well. And I've also gone in and just tidied it all up with the plate mail metal colour, just to give that a little bit of just to sharpen up those edges where I'd sort of fluffed up a little bit where I was doing those bronze rivets. So let's just have a little look at him now. The next stage is to dip him in the quick shade, but let's just turn him around and just let you have a look at him from the other sides. So the next stage is to quick shade dip him in strong tone, and I've done that now, as you can see, and he's dried for at least 24 hours. Make sure you give it a minimum of 24 hours. And as you can see, what I was talking about before, the strong tone is amazing in those recesses on any sort of metal surface. So what's next then is he needs to be based, he needs to be matte varnished, and we'll get all that stuff done, and I'll come back and show you the end result. And there he is, all done. So the base is now being put onto the figure. I've done the matte varnishing, and this chap is now ready for gaming on the table. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do like, subscribe and share, and as always, thanks for watching.